Welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a live breaking short afternoon live show. I do normally do my live shows around 5 p.m, either 4:30, 5 or 5:30 start, but I do have a few meetings this evening and I don't know when they're going to end, so I thought I want to do a quick live show this afternoon to discuss a few big stories coming out because a new deal for Bruno Fernandes has got done. Sancho to unlock the Ugarte deal, some big progress has been made on that the last few hours. Maguire's spoken out about his role. Harry Amos has spoken out about his role. Man United's new look defence with De Ligt and Mazraoui coming in. What's the plan for that? I want us to talk about that. Some stories about a move for RAPHINA, TONEY, United looking to sign an attacker with Sancho potentially on the way out, and more. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Some of this came out towards the end of my live show earlier this morning, but it's only just been confirmed by Romano post my live show. And the first story coming out is that Bruno Fernandes is signing his new Man United contract right now. We know that Bruno had agreed a deal to sign a new contract with United, and now that is officially done. A new deal for Bruno Fernandes is all done. And I think people disrespect Bruno Fernandes so much. I think he deserves to have a look at the video speaking about him signing a new deal, because I generally think he's one of the only players at Man United post Sir Alex Ferguson that resembles a Sir Alex Fergie kind of signing. He's the only Man United player I can think of post Sir Alex Ferguson that really would be a Sir Alex Ferguson kind of player. He's signing a new deal at United. I think he's such a good player. I think he's such an underrated player. Sometimes he can be frustrating. Sometimes he has bad games. Sometimes he can be hot and cold. But the way I just think Bruno impacts United in terms of he's friends with the young players. He makes the young players feel welcome. He can speak all the languages. He's friends with Heaton. He's friends with Pelistri. He's friends with Nacho. He's friends with Kobe, Amas. He's there for every single player at United. He makes them feel welcome. I think Bruno Fernandes is just an unbelievable player that Manchester United have. And the fact that Mason Mount earned more money than him and Anthony earned more money than him last season, he deserves a new contract as well. Bruno always gives his all, and I'm so happy he signed a new contract. Bruno could play for a better club than Manchester United. I don't like to say that. Bruno I don't know if he could play for Real Madrid because they've got so many midfielders, but Bruno Fernandes could almost play for any club in the world. He deserves to be in the Champions League, winning the Champions League. We're 3-0 up against Coventry and the rest of the team bottled it. The last 3 months of last season, when some of the team just gave up, Bruno was there. He did everything to keep Ten Hag's job. And he's been a real captain, and I think he's very disrespected online. So I thought I want to start this video talking about Bruno, and then I'm going to get to the Sancho Ugarte news. Fofana, there was a lot of news yesterday that United were going to go and make an approach for Youssouf Fofana, and we had made an approach in Monaco. We're going to upset that. But as I've always said, I think that we're being used by Monaco to scare AC Milan into getting a deal done for Fofana. Romano seems certain that Fofana is AC Milan bound, but we will discuss that later. Some news on RAPHINA. But look at this here. Bruno Fernandes has created 416 chances since the start of the 2020-2021 season in the Premier League. That's by far the most of any player in that time frame. Kevin De Bruyne was second with 319. Of course, Kevin De Bruyne's had fitness issues, but just to show how good Bruno Fernandes is, he's created that many chances. And I think he's only topped the assist chance maybe once in a Premier League season, if that. Like, I actually think it's crazy how good Bruno Fernandes is and how underrated he is as well. KDB himself rates Bruno, but somehow United fans don't. I can get United fans finding Bruno frustrating, but I don't get how you cannot rate Bruno as a player and see that he is a top-class player. I can understand frustration. He's had bad games. I can understand criticising him. But if you don't think Bruno Fernandes is a top-quality player, I don't know what... If Bruno Fernandes was at Manchester City or Bayern Munich, every Man United fan would be going, oh, I wish we had Bruno Fernandes. Even the ones that are hating on him. They would watch him play for those clubs and think, wow, he's phenomenal. But they put him in a Man United top, and some fans don't like him. Mount is important this year for Bruno. He plays too much, and I think game suffers sometimes Mount can cover. I think when Bruno missed a few games through injury, then he came back for the last couple of games of the season, Bruno looked so much better because he looked like, oh, we finally given Bruno 2 weeks off as well. Bruno's development into captain is commendable. He's truly a captain that a team would fight for, I agree. Bruno, absolute warrior, even played at centre-back with one leg. Do you remember that game? Was that Coventry or was that Liverpool where Bruno was filling in at centre-back because of all the injuries we had, and Bruno was walking around basically limping because he was injured and he had his leg in the cast after a match, and then 3 days later he started for United in the next game, and the worst game of last season, and there was some horrific games last season. We can't lie. There was some horrific games last season. But the worst game of last season was the game when we lost 4-0 to Crystal Palace. And guess who didn't play in that game? Bruno Fernandes. The 2 or 3 games we did not have Bruno Fernandes in last season were dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. And I remember people saying, drop Bruno, will be so much better without Bruno. whenever we've not played with Bruno, bar a game against Crystal Palace in the Carabao Cup where Crystal Palace fielded their B team last season, we were absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious without Bruno as well. Bruno's the only player in the team who deserves a pay rise, I agree. The fact that Antony apparently was on more money than Bruno Fernandes last season is crazy. Bruno's phenomenal, without a doubt, our greatest signing since Fergie. And he's one of the few players that we've had in the squad post-Fergie that I could imagine playing under Fergie. Do you know what I mean? He's got that Cantona about him. He's got that little bit about him where you think, yeah, he'd be a Fergie player. I think, Maino could be one of those Fergie youngsters he brings through. Garnacho's got a bit of Fergie in him, but Bruno is one of those players you look at and you think he's a Ferguson player. I think Varane was a Ferguson player as well because Fergie tried to sign Varane. But there's a couple players you see at United. And you know what? He's never injured. And I think this is such an underrated trait that he has, availability. Because as we learnt last season, the injuries caused us so many issues. I think Bruno's availability is such an underrating stat of his as well. Why are people saying Liverpool, Liverpool in the chat? Liverpool, Liverpool, where are your signings? Liverpool, Liverpool. Do any midfielders want to come to you? No, I'm joking. But do any midfielders want to come to Liverpool? But guys, I want to get into some other news. We've got some updates on Collier. We've got some updates on Man United's plans. We've got some updates on Ugarte, Sancho. But I really wanted to just talk about Bruno getting this new deal because I don't really see much coverage of Bruno getting this new deal online. And I just think that Bruno deserves so much more respect as a player because you look at statistics like this. Bruno Fernandes created the most chances in the Premier League in 3 of his full 4 campaigns. 95 in the 2021 season where he ranked first, 88 in the 21-22 season, which was his worst season in that shirt, but he still ranked second, 119 in the 22-23, which I think was a record. I think Bruno had an expected assist of 18 in Ten Hag's first season, and he only got like 11 assists, but he had an expected assist of 18, which is like a world record as well. Most big chances created, and this season, again, most chances created, 114 in 23-24, like, people don't realise how good Bruno is. And if Man United can start finishing those chances, Bruno Fernandes could break the assist record if he had Haaland. I will tell you that now. If we had Erling Haaland, and if you put Bruno Fernandes in Manchester City, he would break the assist record. Generally would. It's crazy the kind of output that he has, and hopefully all the players around Bruno Fernandes rise and step up a level as well. If we get Ugarte, we will see Bruno nailing the number 10 position. I do think Ugarte's ability to break up play and be that warrior and win the ball back and do the dirty work could definitely free up Bruno. And I think one thing I noticed for England was Kobbie Mainoo, because of Declan Rice, could get quite high up the pitch. And Kobbie Mainoo and Foden were linking really well in that semi-final against the Netherlands in the right half space because Kobbie could advance. And I do think Ugarte would give Kobbie the freedom to advance, link with Bruno Fernandes in the right half space. Mazraoui is obviously going to push up as well. That's a very good attacking player. Ahmad, obviously, his ability in the right half space is where he operates best. And I think an Amad Diallo, Bruno Fernandes, Mainoo, sort of triangle in the right half space with, Højlund's get on the end of that, or Xerxes linking up as well with Xerxes' technical ability in tight spaces. And I think that we've got a really good base going forward. It's just, for me, if Man United's defence can stay fit and we get a proper number 6, or if Casemiro can find some form, I think we've got a really good team. Maybe I'm too optimistic. I say, look, we'll finish 6th, 5th or 4th this season. Maybe 3rd if Liverpool fall off. I think we'll finish anywhere between 3rd to 6th, and that massively depends on injuries and the form of our midfielders. But I think the attack and the talent that we've got, and but what Bruno Fernandes can do and Amad Diallo can do in the right half space, Xerxes' technical ability in tight spaces, Mason Mount would be like a new signing. His ability to press, Garnacho off the bench is cheat code. Garnacho can play on the left and the right. He's such an exciting direct winger that I think Garnacho is so underrated as well. Mazraoui coming in on the right, proper attacking player. Kobbie Mainoo can advance with a proper number 6, getting in, and technical ability in tight areas. United could really play some highly technical, intricate, good football. And we saw elements of that versus City. Yes, it was City's B team. But I think that the quality at Man United is really going up a level when everybody is fit. I think there's quality there. And I generally believe that Ten Hag is the kind of coach that can get the best out of the United squad and find that quality as well. I think it's really exciting stuff as well. If we get Ugarte, we'll see Apex Bruno nailing that number 10 position. Hopefully, I think the number 10 position Bruno could nail down as his. Bruno, 79 goals and 67 assists. And also, you've got to remember that Bruno's been doing that in a very unstable Manchester United side with questionable tactics at times, with players around him that, to be honest, haven't been good enough for Manchester United the majority of the time. Bruno, if you threw him in a Man City squad, a stable structure, the numbers he would get, I think, could be record-breaking. I think he broke midfield records like Lampard's record as well, and I think he's one of the most disrespected players online as well. Very good player, Bruno, but Cantona, he is not. Cantona was an absolute god. Oh, not comparing him to Cantona. I was too young to watch Cantona, but I'm saying he kind of gave off that kind of energy of someone that can come in and really do a job for the team. Once the Felix deal is wrapped up, Mendes is heading to Manchester to meet United execs. Yeah, apparently he's in London now wrapping the Felix deal up, and some sources say he's going to Manchester to wrap up the Ugarte deal, potentially. I think, with Sancho to PSG advancing, I think some journalists are saying that Sancho and Ugarte aren't connected, but I think they're connected. I think that is a bit of a domino effect. We'll give them Sancho for what they want if they give us Ugarte for what we want. I think that will be something that's agreed upon with United. I think Pelistri will go, Lindelof could go, Mejbri could go, potentially McTominay could go, and then that could maybe give United the funds to go for an attacking player. But the focus at United is on midfield. We've been linked to Ivan Toney, we've been linked to RAPHINA. I think RAPHINA links is BS because it's come from sport. We've been linked to Rafael Leao by some rubbish source in Italy. I don't think United are focusing on attack. I think we're focusing on midfield, and I think it is Mendes going to try and wrap up the Ugarte deal, and we will get into that as well. Maynard's transition from mid to final third is amazing, pushes the lineup with ease. I think the fact that we maybe get Maino higher up when we get a DM and then operating with maybe Bruno and Ahmad in that right half space, and if Xerxes there, he can drop deep. Like the technical ability that Manchester United can have in the half spaces in and around and outside the box, I think just phenomenal levels of talent there, and I think it's a really exciting time to be a Manchester United fan as well. Guys, please do go ahead and hit that like button, and of course subscribe down below if you're new. We did something absolutely crazy earlier, and we hit 1,000 likes on my live stream earlier, which was absolutely mad. I was asking for it, but I didn't think we were going to get it, and we actually did get it. So I just want to say thank you to everyone that joined the live show earlier today, and also we are 17 subscribers away from 89.2k, on the road to 90k by the end of the transfer window. I think we could hit it. We'll do sub if you're new, but I do want to stop talking about Bruno Fernandes because I could probably talk about how much I love Bruno Fernandes for an hour, and I do actually want to talk about the Ugarte news. I do want to talk about the Sancho news. I do want to talk about some updates on that. If we have a bit of luck injury-wise, we could be awesome. I generally think if United can get the luck injury-wise, would be good. Mount is too injury-prone, but Mount was never injury-prone before he joined United, so let's hope it's a one-off season where he is injury-prone, because I think Mount can play as an 8, he can play as a 10, he can play on the wing, he could play as a centre-forward and do a pressing job. I think the cover that Mason Mount brings to United would be really, really important. RAPHINA is clear of Antony, but he's a bit of a frustrating player as well when I watch him, 100%. To be honest, I don't think there's much truth in RAPHINA to Man United rumours. I don't think there's much truth in it at all. But if I was going to be completely honest with you, I don't really care about RAPHINA, even if there was much truth in it. It's not one that I look at and think, oh, we've got to get him as well. Amrabat for 10, 12 million, it's not a bad deal to do for depth, but I'm not that bothered if we sign Amrabat either. Like, I really liked Amrabat, and I think that had Ten Hag used him more next to Maino in prime position, who knows, he can do the job. I think if Eriksen and McTominay leave and we need that extra body for depth, maybe, but I've also been so impressed with Toby Collier that the need for Amrabat's gone down. We need 2 transfer windows, window 4 title challenge. Hopefully, I think Ineos did say it will probably take 3 years. I think you could do it in 2 years with the right approach, because I do think we've got the quality there, and I do think that Ten Hag could be the right manager to bring Manchester United forward. PSG need to lower the Ugarte deal. Well, I don't know if you watched my live show last night, but in my live show last night, I covered the story that come out from a decent French source. It wasn't tier 1, but I would say a good source in France. There was a story that came out from a really good source in France that the PSG were going to lower the Ugarte fee. They're really close to reaching an agreement for United, and George Mendes is in England, and he's desperate to sort out the deal and get the deal over the line and all of that stuff as well. So there was some really good sources of information coming out and saying that the Ugarte deal should be over the line as well. But let's dive into the news, let's dive into the updates, let's dive into the stories, because there's so much information to get into that I want to cover. I want to keep this live stream a little bit shorter than my normal live streams as well. So let me get the news back on my screen. So it was said, and I covered this right at the end of my live stream when it broke, but there's been a few updates further on this, that Jadon Sancho could join PSG on loan with an obligation to buy after negotiations between both clubs. The 2 clubs are attempting to unlock a deal that could see Manuel Ugarte move in the opposite direction. So what's being discussed, not just by Miguel Delaney, but by multiple sources, is although some sources are claiming Ugarte and Sancho seem to be separate deals, there's a feeling that potentially PSG's want for Sancho and PSG's want to sell Ugarte could be used in Manchester United's favour to unlock a deal for Ugarte so we can bring him in. on more favourable terms, which is being suggested. There's just a breaking news story that's come out, and I don't know how reliable it is, saying Liverpool are set to make a staggering return to Zubimendi and would pay even more than his €60 million release clause. But Liverpool believes Zubimendi will reject them, which is a weird. I don't know. I know this isn't related to United, but Liverpool have been rejected by Zubimendi because obviously Real Sociedad don't want him to go and want to change his release clause to make it higher. And apparently Liverpool were going to make a bid for Zubimendi higher than his release clause to see if he'll want to come to them and basically beg him to join them. I mean, Liverpool, man. He doesn't want you. Walk away. Go sign someone else. Imagine if we've been rejected by someone. Let's say there's a player. Imagine this. Imagine we really wanted Xerxes, and he rejected us. And we triggered his 34 million release clause and rejected us. And then we went in and put a 50 million bid for Xerxes, and he still rejected us when he had a 34 million release clause. It makes no sense. That's just an interesting story coming out about Liverpool. Completely off topic as well, but it's like the David Moyes transfer window for Arne Slot. I know they've got Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards, really smart people. They'll probably sort themselves out. But it's just like, what is going on? I'm assuming it's probably a load of rubbish, that story as well. No more salt available, apparently, as Alice used all the salt. Take it with a pinch of salt stories. I do say with a lot of Man United news, take it with a pinch of salt. But this one, I would say believe, but ish. I'd say Jadon Sancho could join PSG on a loan with an obligation to buy after negotiations between two clubs. The two clubs were attempting to unlock a deal that could see Ugarte move in the opposite direction. I don't know if it's permanent deals. I don't know if it's a Chelsea Gallagher Felix kind of situation with United and PSG. But I do think that if we sign Ugarte, Sancho goes the other way. I think it could be a double loan with an obligation to buy. I think it could be a double deal where we just buy each straight up, because I think we're asking for 51 million for Sancho now. They're asking for 51 million for Ugarte. We know we're willing to sell Sancho for 40 million, and we knew that PSG would be willing to take 40 million for Ugarte and take a loss on him. Bish bash bosh. I think we get a deal done. Maybe it's a swap deal and we give them 5 million and we swap Sancho to bring in Ugarte. Bish bash bosh. But it isn't going to end there for Manchester United, according to Rich Fay. Manchester United are considering 2 more signings, a midfielder, and they're also keeping tabs on a left-back. Now, we know, and I discussed this earlier, United have 2 signings planned no matter what happens with sales. If no sales happen, we will still sign a midfielder. If they do not lower the Ugarte price, it probably will be Sander Berge, and we will sign someone that can be a lone backup left-back, nothing special. So there's 2 signings planned no matter what happens at United. If nobody is sold, if McTominay's not sold, if Sancho stays, we'll still get a midfielder, which will be Ugarte if PSG lower the fee, Berge if they don't, and then a cheap left back in. Now, McTominay is obviously having talks with Napoli and Fulham. At Napoli have flown their sporting director over to England to try and negotiate a deal for McTominay. Fulham are expected to come back in for another bid for McTominay because they're scared Napoli are in. There's also slight interest in McTominay from Everton and West Ham and clubs in Turkey, although they're not concrete. There's a significant amount of interest in McTominay. There's lots of clubs interested in Pelistri, which United think they can get 10 million for. There's Man United think they could offload Eriksen on cheap, but they're not sure. There is interest in Lindelof. United are willing to let him go for as cheap as 6 million, and Mejbri put in the transfer request. McTominay could go, Mejbri could go, Lindelof could go, Eriksen could go, Pelistri could go, Sancho could go, and that will raise the funds. Now, the 2 sales that are important are Sancho and McTominay. Now, midfielder, left back, that comes in regardless. If Sancho and McTominay are sold, this is when you're looking at potentially A, a second midfield signing, and B, potentially another player in attack. Now, Ivan Toney's been linked to United. I'm not sure. I think United would go more for a winger, and Doy's been linked to United, and that was actually a more credible link with Bologna expecting him to go, and that's why they were looking at Pelistri, which is interesting. Neto was the one we were looking at. He's obviously gone to Chelsea. Elise was the dream. He's obviously gone to Bayern. Sule's obviously off the market. They do not rate Chiesa. He's injury prone, which is fair. There's not many good options on the right wing market. I think Nico Williams is the best out there, but he's set to stay at Athletic Bilbao. So it'll be interesting to see what United do on the right wing front, but I think the focus now is midfield. Unless Sancho goes and McTominay goes, I don't think there's much need to discuss wingers, but I think the focus right now for Manchester United is on midfield and additions to the midfield as well. Thank you very much for the super chat. Parker saying you look cute in that top. Appreciate the super chat. Appreciate the support as well. Catalog glue would mean not having to go for a left back in the winter or summer. Look, I'm going to be honest. I like Ferdy. He's a good player and all of that. But I'm going to be honest, now we've got Mazraoui, I don't see us doing a deal for 30. I don't see us bringing 30 in. I don't think there's any truth. And there was a report from Italy, one of those nonsense reports coming out saying we might do something for 30. But as I said, considering we signed Mazraoui, and I know we do want a left back, I just don't know if we go for 30 unless we make a lot of funds. I think when we're talking Man United signing a left back, I think we're talking, I don't want him, but I think we're talking Chilwell on loan. I think we're talking Reguilon on loan. I think if we're going to get a left back, it's just going to be, look, we know Harry Amas has got a future. We know Luke Shaw and Malacia are good players when fit. We expect them to stay fit second half of the season. I think it's going to be a Reguilon, Ben Chilwell type deal. Do I want Ben Chilwell? No. Would I like 30? Yes. But they want like 25 to 30 million for him. Yes, he can play left back. Yes, he can play right back. I think 30 would be great. But as of now, I don't think there's anything concrete for 30. I think come end of the window, if a few sales happen, there definitely could be some more concrete news in regards to 30. But as of now, I don't think much of it is concrete as well. We don't need a winger. We need a midfielder and maybe TONEY. I think we need a midfielder as the focus. I think that's what we're focusing on right now. But other than that, I think, yeah, maybe if sales happen, we get a winger. I can't speak 30's quality, only barely seen him play. I mean, I've seen him play in the Euros and he was phenomenal. I can't act like he's been amazing and that he's the most amazing guy ever. I'm going off the little bits I've seen of him in the Euros over the last year. I think it's just his versatility to play several positions, which does make him appeal. Anton Stach is a serious talent. Where are all the Man United scouts at? Anton Stach is a very good talent, and he was linked to us by the Daily Mail, but it was like a tier 2 journalist for the Daily Mail, and apparently he could be available for £15 million. But again, it was nothing credible to come out on Anton Stach other than that one report saying that he's a player that United are considering. Maybe if Ugarte falls through, they go for him, but I get the impression that if Ugarte goes through, the focus will probably be on Sander Berge, if I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I do want to get back into some Ugarte news. I do want to get back into some Ugarte stories, as there's been some updates coming in here. It was said a move for Manuel Ugarte is back on the cards, with PSG eager to sell him, while a player leaving or PSG lowering the demands would have to be done. There is growing belief that a deal can be done. So Rich Fay, who I'd say is a good source of information, is saying, obviously Ornstein announced last week we're walking away from Ugarte, and then it's very obvious we've gone back in for Ugarte because Romano, Florian Plettenberg, and every source under the sun has now confirmed that the last 2 days we're negotiating an Ugarte deal, we're working on an Ugarte deal. United has obviously gone back in for a Manuel Ugarte move. It said a move for Ugarte is back on the cards, with PSG eager to sell him, while a player leaving or PSG lowering the demands would have to be done to get that done. So I think PSG could lower demands for Ugarte. I think the closer and closer we get to the end of the window, the fact that PSG wants to sell Ugarte and maybe strike a deal with Sancho, I've always said and always felt that I think United are in a strong position of the players pushing for the move. George Mendes is desperate to get the deal done. The player really wants the move. They've signed Jan Neves. They don't want him. He doesn't suit Enrique's style of play. If they don't sell him, he's going to lose even more value. I think making an 8 to 10 million loss on a player that didn't work after one season isn't a bad thing. I think apparently, according to Duncan Castles, we actually made a 42 million offer for Ugarte, which is more than fair. And if they rejected that, you cannot blame United for walking away. If they want anything more than 43 million for Ugarte, which is 50 million euros, United should walk away and get Sander Berge, in my opinion. I do think we can use Sander Berge to scare PSG. I think the fact that we walked away from Branthwaite and we got Euro and De Ligt sent a message to Everton. Did you see the Everton tears? Did you see the Everton tears when we got Euro? Absolute tears, because I think they thought we were going to overpay and give them 70 million for Branthwaite. Absolute tears. I think the fact that we walked away from Branthwaite and got 2 players, and then last week we walked away from Ugarte and we've been having talks with Berge, I think has scared PSG. We're now back in negotiations for Ugarte. Now reports are saying there's confidence an agreement can be struck and PSG will lower the fee. Again, come out from tier 2 sources, so one to watch. But I think Ugarte's in our hands. And if we don't get Ugarte, we get Sander Berge. I think Sander Berge for 20 million quid is not a bad deal at all. I think people online try and make out the Sander Berge is crap because he played for Burnley. Burnley got relegated. Michael Carrick's been relegated. Roy Keane's been relegated. I think, you know what, if we don't get Ugarte, we get Berge for 25 million. I don't think it's bad business at all. I think we'll probably get Ugarte because the transfer window's closing. PSG want to sell him and no one's going to give them 50 million for him. I'll be disappointed if Ineos cave and give them 50 million for Ugarte. I really will. I think we should, to be honest, I think 43 million is a bit too much. I think we could get a deal done for Ugarte at 40 million with Sancho going the other way and we get maybe 35 million for Sancho. So the 5 million net spend. That's what I think would be fair. But Man United have confidence the deal will be done. PSG, as Rich Face said, are eager to sell him. PSG are demanding 51 million which is exactly what they paid for Ugarte a year ago, and he didn't work, and they're eager to sell him, and the player is forcing the move, and they want him gone, and he doesn't suit the manager's style of play, PSG have no right to demand 51 million for Ugarte. They have absolutely no right. So I think Ineos know that, and I think when Ineos went for Sander Berge, I think elements of that probably scared PSG into thinking, oh no, you know what, maybe we will go back into talks to United. I think the fact that we've had conversations with Sander Berge is probably the reason that PSG and Man United have started having conversations again, and PSG and Man United are back in talks again. I really do. Alex says PSG need to get reasonable, especially if they keep keen on Sancho. Sancho Ugarte swap or separate deals need to happen 100%. If they want Sancho, they've got to get realistic. And I think the closer and closer we get to the transfer window deadline day, the stronger position we're in. And I know in the past it's caused us to cave and overpay. But the way I see it is, if Burge is still at Burnley in 2 weeks and we're deadline day of the window, we'll just say we'll get Sander Berge. Because if we walk away from Ugarte because they want 50 million and get Sander Berge for 20 million, that's the right decision from Ineos. So I think we're in a strong position where, we've got Sander Berge there. So you give us Ugarte for 40 million, or we get Sander Berge, and then you're stuck with Ugarte because nobody's going to pay 50 million for Ugarte, even though there's competition. And Ugarte really wants Manchester United, that's his dream. Then you have Ugarte stuck with you for another season, not playing because you signed Jan Evers, decreasing further in value, and you've got an unhappy player there. So I think United are focused on midfield. George Mendes, as Matthew said, probably going to go to Manchester to sort the deal. I think we get a breakthrough for Ugarte in the next week. I'm quite confident that it's done, because I think PSG have to get realistic, and I think PSG will get realistic because we're approaching crunch time in the window. And if PSG do not lower the Ugarte fee, more for them, because I don't know how they can sit there and ask for 50 million for Ugarte. It was also said by Rich Fay again that Jadon Sancho could be used as part of a deal to bring Ugarte to Manchester United. There is a growing belief an argument could be reached for Manuel Ugarte to join United. You know, Rich Fay is a good source of information, doesn't come out with your BS like other journalists. And he's saying there's a strong belief in United they'll get it done. And I think, as I'm saying, I think I've got a strong belief we get Ugarte done. And if we don't get Ugarte, I think we get Berge. I have a strong belief we'll sign a midfielder, and that's what we're working on. I trust Ineos. I think Rich Fay is saying United have a strong belief. And I think United have every right to have a strong belief Ugarte will be done. Ugarte is pushing for the move. Mendes is pushing for the move. All focus on midfielder. There's also offers there for McTominay, so we could raise some funds through sales. But PSG want to sell, and the player wants to come. You know, De Ligt dragged on for 5-6 weeks, but what did we get De Ligt for? 38 million up front, 4 million add-ons, taking it to 42 million. Bayern wanted it 50 million in total, 42 million plus 8 million in add-ons. We got it for 38 million plus 4 million add-ons. You know, we got that sorted for De Ligt because De Ligt wanted the move and Bayern wanted to sell. Ugarte wants to move. He's pushing for the move. He's not involved with the PSG squad. PSG want to sell. I mean, I think, you know, if Duncan Castle's report that we actually put a 42 million offer in for Ugarte is true, I think that's quite a generous bid, and I'm shocked that PSG would turn down a 42 million bid for Ugarte, when for me, I think we could get him for 38 to 40 million as well. PSG fans thought they'd get Rashford plus cash for Ugarte. They've been huffing the same points. Really? Rashford is worth twice the amount of Ugarte. Rashford is worth at least double Ugarte's price tag as well, which is crazy. Ugarte, then Toney, then one more, and we're done this summer. How would you guys feel if we got Ugarte, Toney, and 30? I don't know about 30. I think we'd only get a cheap left back in. But how would you guys feel if it was Ugarte, Toney, and 30 to end the window? I'm not too sure about Ivan Toney. If we could sign him, it's a good signing, but I just don't think it's necessary that we get a striker. If I was going to be totally honest, I don't look at Manchester United and think, you must sign a striker. A striker is a deal you must do. Like, when I look at United, I don't sit and think, yeah, we need a striker, or yeah, we need to go out and get a striker, if I was going to be totally honest with you as well. But let's dive back into some more news. Let's dive back into some more stories in regards to Ugarte, and then I will get into the live chat. PSG fans thought they'd get Rashford plus Ugarte. It's just crazy. Apparently, Ugarte has handed in a transfer request, and that's why he's not in the squad. Don't know how true that story is. Need two midfielders. I think with Mount and Collier basically feeling like new signings, I think Man United would be absolutely fine with one midfield signing, if I'm going to be totally honest. I think we'd be absolutely fine if it was only one midfielder coming in, but I can understand like why people would want two midfield signings at United. I can understand it because, one, the injuries we seem to get, and two, Casemiro is not reliable anymore, Eriksen's not reliable anymore, and McTominay is one of those players that if he comes off the bench with 15 minutes to go, he's good. But as a starter, he can put in a shift in those bigger games. But ultimately, he's not good enough to start for United week in, week out and implement Ten Hag's system and what Ten Hag wants to do. So I can completely understand why people would be wanting a midfielder in. But let's get back into some more news, some more stories. Is the stream quality alright? Are we getting any lag? Just want an update on what the stream quality's in. For Ferdy and Burge and Fofana would be amazing. Do you know what? For Ferdy, Burge, Fofana, if we got those 3 players in, because Ferdy can play left back, I'd be very happy. Do I think that's going to happen? No. Do I think we're probably going to get Ugarte? Yes. But I think Fofana's probably going to go to AC Milan, but I do think we have interest in Fofana. I do think it's one to watch, like Xerxes, and how we got that. But yeah, Fofana just looks like a drama-free signing. I think Fofana, the situation with that is, I think it's more of if McTominay sold, we need a second midfield signing, and his deal to AC Milan's not done by that as well. Update coming in by Fabrizio Romano. Oh, it's Arsenal. You know when you see Fabrizio Romano tweet and he puts like the red emoji there and you think it's United because, you know, and then it's Arsenal, you think no. Bruno Guimaraes apparently followed Manchester City on Instagram. Why would you want to go to Man City if they could get relegated? David Ornstein has just tweeted that Arsenal is stepping up efforts to sign Mikel Merino from Sociedad. So it looks like Arsenal are about to get a Mikel Merino, which will be a very, very good signing for them as well. I can't lie. I think like when I've watched Arsenal in pre-season, what they're doing with their left centre mid, I do think Arsenal are going to win the league. I mean, I don't want City to win it 5 times in a row, and if Liverpool won it, I'd vomit. But it's like, I'd rather, like, honestly, if Spurs could win the league, or Villa can win the league, or West Ham can win the league, or best case scenario, Man United win the league, fine. But the thought of Arsenal, Liverpool, and City, I don't know what it is, but Liverpool is like top tier, worst team. Arsenal annoy me more than Man City. But Man City cheat, so I've got more respect for Arsenal. I don't know, I don't like what Arsenal are building. I feel like Arsenal are building something good, and I really don't like it, guys, to be honest as well. We've got a good defence. I might do a video on Man United's defence. I'll do it on this channel, or maybe I'll do it on the United Breakdown. If you don't follow the United Breakdown, so this Man United channel is just to cover all the news, all the rumours, basically waffle and chat a bit of shite and, you know, talk with you guys and then round up the news. I have another United channel which is called the United Breakdown, which isn't about news and rumours. It's more about like breaking down performances, 5 things we learned from every match, a little bit of analysis on tactics, a little bit of player analysis, you know, general videos on what Ineos is building. It's just a positive breakdown vibe where I do 2 or 3 videos a week on United. So do go check out the United Breakdown if that is your thing. But guys, how many likes are we on? Can we hit 600 likes by the end of the live show? That would be amazing. But I do want to get back into some news. I do want to get back into some stories because there's a few things I want to talk about before I end the show, but I don't want to make the show too long. And that is in regards to Ugarte and in regards to some other movement that could happen here. So Manuel Ugarte is back on the cards with PSG eager to sell him, while the player leaving PSG or PSG lowering the demands would have to be done. But there's a growing belief United can sign Ugarte, and Eric Ten Hag personally is keen on Ugarte, who's been seemingly raised as a hugely promising option by the club's new recruitment hierarchy. Apparently, Ugarte, Masraoui and De Ligt, despite speculation it could be Ten Hag signings, was actually recommended by Ashworth, Wilcox, Fivell, the recruitment. It was then said, Harry Maguire believes he can play a big part for Man United this season. His representatives have not even been trying to get him moved this summer, aka Harry Maguire's a 4th choice centre-back, good option to have, good player, good box defender we've lost Varane, but Harry Maguire and Harry Maguire's wages, you'd want him to be starting week in, week out on those kind of wages, and he's not good enough to start week in, week out. De Ligt is better. I think Euro could be better long term. But I don't mind Maguire staying. He gets a bit too much hate online. But if an offer came in from Maguire that was a decent offer, I think it would be nice to move him on just because long term, not going to be a starting centre-back pairing. Now, I saw this online. I wanted to talk about this. It's a little bit off topic, but Eric Ten Hag is not leading recruitment as he was before the new sporting management came in place. The targets were offered to him based off sustainability for the style of play, suitability for the style of play. But interestingly, we do have a full 11 of players we signed under Eric Ten Hag that have spent time playing in the Netherlands. Xerxes actually hasn't played in the Netherlands. He was just in the academy there. But Masraoui, De Ligt, Martinez and Malacia and Onana have all played in the Netherlands. They all played for Ajax, bar Malacia, who played for Feyenoord. Mount went on loan to the Netherlands. Amrabat's played under Ten Hag at Utrecht. Ericsson obviously played at Ajax. Anthony's played at Ajax. Weghorst has played in the Netherlands. And Xerxes obviously just grew up in the academy of Malacia but never played in the Netherlands. So 11 of our Ten Hag signings have actually come from the Netherlands. And people obviously saying, oh, you know, there was people complaining online, a few minority of people complaining online, going, oh, Ineos haven't changed anything, oh, Ineos are frauds, oh, they're letting Ten Hag buy everyone for the Netherlands. But it's like they're just not. They're just not. Like, Ineos have looked at Mascherano, thought he's technically good and he can play the football that Ten Hag wants to play and he's going to be available for cheap. They've looked at De Ligt. We've lost Varane. We need a physical centre back. Yoro is injured. He can play Ten Hag ball. 38 million for De Ligt when Max Kilman's going for 40 million. We can't bring Todibo in, so they've gone and got De Ligt. Xerxes was, back in February, I said Xerxes is the best option on the market for United because he's got a 34 million release clause, and he's a different kind of centre forward that doesn't need service, that can almost play between the 10 and between the 9 and operate between the lines. I think that those three bits of business was really good from United, and I don't really get the negativity just because there's a lot of players. Amrabat played under Erik ten Hag. I mean, a lot of these players have played under Erik ten Hag before, and a lot of them come from the Netherlands, but I don't think that's a massive negative thing. Like, I know that Anthony's been a bit shy, but I don't think just because they're from the Netherlands and they've played under Erik ten Hag is necessarily a bad thing. I don't. I think that, I trust Ineos with the recruitment, and I can understand why we got De Ligt and Mascherano in. You're looking at the technical ceiling, how we want to play out from the back, the style of football we want to play. You're looking at we need a physical centre-back with Varane gone. And although Souness has called De Ligt a lightweight because Graham Souness does not watch De Ligt play and he just joined Man United, so Graham Souness is thinking, well, I've got to say something negative about him now, even though I've never watched him play. De Ligt is very much a heavy box defender, a very heavy box defender. So left back is the last question, because 30 is great. I feel like if we sign a left back, it is going to be a cheap one on loan. But this is what's been said on the left back. Ten Hag would rather have another specialist option to call upon, while Shaw and Malacia are both sidelined, with Harry Amas not currently viewed as ready for the first team frame. So probably someone that comes in on loan, a Reguilon type player, I think, is what he'd be happy with. I like Harry Amas. I think he's technically there. I think he's got potential to be there. But people forget Harry Amas has just turned 17. So to be chucked in at the deep end in Man United's defence at 17 years of age is crazy. He showed a lot of potential on tour, but Collier is physically ready. I can see Collier coming and getting involved. He was really good versus Manchester City. I was super impressed with Collier. Harry Amas on the other side, technically, wow. Physically, I think these next 3 months, if he can bulk up and develop physically and just get a bit more aware, I think the experience in pre-season is really good for him. He's obviously trained with the squad at Wembley and getting that experience. I do think that Harry Amas in the future could definitely have a part, but I think Ten Hag doesn't want to rush him in, because you play Harry Amas in a Premier League game, he makes a mistake, we concede a goal, and we lose 1-0 because of the mistake he made. There will be fans online giving him hate, saying he's not ready. There'll be idiot Man United fans who think, just because you're 17 and you have one bad game against Mo Salah at left back, in a Premier League game and we've lost because you make a mistake, that Harry Amas is shite, and they will give him hate and they'll give him stick, and it will ruin his confidence. And I think Ten Hag has a right to protect Harry Amas and mould him in carefully this season, because there is people in this fan base that 1 minute Garnacho is a great game, he's brilliant. The next minute Garnacho is a bad game and they're saying Garnacho is not it. Garnacho was 19 last season. Did you look at Ronaldo at 19? Inconsistency. Garnacho has good games, he has bad games, but he shows promise. People flip-flopping online that Garnacho is good and bad depending on his game. They'll do the same with Harry Amas. You judge your player off their age, their potential, what they're showing, an overall overview of their performance and how their season has been. You don't judge them from one game to another. You don't call them a flop after one game. In fact, I don't think it's fair to judge a player until they at least hit 23. Or they've been at that club for 3 full seasons as a regular. I feel like if you're seeing the potential, you're seeing the development. But I do think if Harry Amas had a bad game for United first team, people would be on it, giving him hate and being silly. So I can understand Ten Hag wanting to protect him. We just need left-back cover to bridge the gap until Amas is ready, 100%. Just a short-term left-back that's going to come in. Maybe thirdly, because he can be a right-back and play all along the midfield as well and be like a Zinchenko, but a bit more versatile type player as well. Sourness. Yeah, Souness is just sour. We signed Lisandro Martinez, and Souness is saying Lisandro Martinez isn't good enough on the ball to play for United, when Lisandro Martinez's best trait is being good on the ball. That's what Souness said. And then obviously we sign De Ligt, and apparently De Ligt, is not physical enough for the Premier League, when De Ligt's main trait is being box defender, is being physical. He's sourness. If Liverpool had signed Matthias De Ligt, he'd be saying, oh, what a good signing for Liverpool, great bit of business, he's perfect for Arne Slot, la-di-la, la-di-la. Souness needs to just get up and admit that he's not watched De Ligt play, and he's not watched Martinez play because he doesn't watch League Abroad. That's what Souness needs to admit. Thank you very much for the super chat, Mike. I don't understand why we can't do a straight swap, Sancho for Ugarte. It seems the most obvious and sensible solution, says Mike. Did I say Mick? I meant Mike. I think because probably wages, maybe PSG feel that Ugarte is worth maybe a bit more than Sancho. And it would be, I think Ugarte is probably, you could get 5 million more for Ugarte than you could for Sancho, taking into account the wages and stuff. But yeah, I mean, a straight swap isn't bad, but maybe it's one of those where, because of FFP and that, we buy Ugarte and then we sell Sancho, and we say we got this amount of funds from Sancho, a little bit like the business that Chelsea did with Maatsen and Villa and that kind of stuff. Maybe, I don't know, maybe United will try a bit of that. I remember when Ronaldo, when he first started for United, he was frustrating, but it was worth being patient. Look what we got, a Ballon d'Or winner, exactly. And I'm not saying that Garnacho is going to be Ronaldo level, but I think people forget, you look at youth and how they come through in the frustration. If Harry Amos has a bad game, if Garnacho has a bad game, if Maino has a bad game, please do not write our youngsters off after 1 or 2 bad games as well. I don't know when parts of our fan base stopped giving time and patience to young players. I think it's just people online that think, oh, we watch one game and they make a decision off one game. I don't think they realise that inconsistency is such a big part of young players as well. Going into the last story, which was said by Melissa Reddy, and I did cover this earlier today, and she just spoke about why De Ligt and Mazraoui were seen as good additions for Manchester United, what they'll bring to Manchester United and all of that. And Melissa Reddy obviously spoke about how De Ligt is going to bring, that technical and physical ceiling to the defence, how Mazraoui can help play out from the back and build up, and he's better 1v1, and he could bring out the best in Antony, and just a little bit of a deep dive into why we've gone for De Ligt and Mazraoui, how they can play under 10-org system, be good and build up, bring out the best in Antony's game. And I think there's 2 really good deals, despite what people like Souness try and say. And then last but not least, Manchester United are interested in signing a Barcelona forward, and that was RAPHINA. They didn't name RAPHINA because they wanted you to click the link so they can clickbait you into saying that. But apparently, according to Sport, we're interested in signing RAPHINA. I've saved that to the end because Sport are known for chatting absolute rubbish, but I thought I'd keep that in there. But do I believe this story? No. Do I believe we're interested in signing RAPHINA? No. Do I think if we sell Pellistri and Sancho, we'll move for an attacker? Yes. Do I think it'll be RAPHINA? Could be one to watch. But if it comes out from Sport, I would say the RAPHINA stories, the Frankie de Jong stories, I personally think it's nonsense. I think it's probably nonsense, if I'm going to be honest as well. Ineos will have to try and move Shaw in 2025. His body is broken. He prior to his club of the country. I love Luke Shaw, and I think Luke Shaw's a phenomenal player. But I tell you what, he's becoming a liability. And I think with these injuries, we long-term are going to have to think of a long-term left-back. Harry Amos could step up, but we are going to have to think about moving on Luke Shaw next season with those injuries. Unless this is the only injury he gets and he stays fit to the end of the season, has a brilliant season. As someone that loves and rates Luke Shaw highly, yeah, I think we will. Lindelof should go. I think hopefully Lindelof will go. United apparently are willing to let Lindelof go for like 6 to 9 million on the cheap. Apparently Man United are willing to let Lindelof and Eriksen very much leave on the cheap. Very much let them go. So I have a feeling Lindelof will go, but you never know. But listen, people, I'm going to wrap up the live show here. Please do go ahead and hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Share the video. I might be back at 5:30 tonight, 6 o'clock maybe. I've got a few meetings this afternoon, so it will depend. If not, there will be a live show in the evening if any news breaks, and a 10-minute roundup about 10 p.m. tonight. Please hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe. Also, do subscribe down below if you're new, because we are 9 subscribers away from 89.2k. Thank you for watching. Bye.